Hey everybody, good morning. Happy Sunday. Hey, I just want to give a little bit of tips on diet, the way it's worked for me. I'm not a dietitian of any sort or anything, but I have done some things and I've learned along the way of how my body reacts to certain foods and the times I eat. So behind me I have a little bit of a list that's worked for me. And this is the very groundwork, basic way of thinking it through. So here we go. I googled diet because we want to make it more difficult in our head, of course. So here we go. Ready? Diet. The kinds of food that a person, animal, or community habitually eats. Habitually. That's the diet, right? So diets. So anyway, diet here. The number one thing that worked for me was accountability. What do I mean by accountability? It's like sometimes I ask myself, why did I eat that? I feel like shit. I didn't have to eat the whole pizza, but I was hungry. You go back, how did I get this much weight on me? So I go back and I'm having to hold myself accountable for the choices I've made in the past to be where I am now, good or bad, right? So now I think, okay, I could have done this better, I could have done that better. So basically, that's what I mean by accountability. Face yourself, look at yourself and ask yourself the hard questions. How could I have done it? Because there was nobody forcing anything down my throat. But I do have a problem with people bringing cupcakes to work, because I don't want to offend anybody. I'll eat the damn cupcakes. So anyway, the next one, sensible choices. We grew up eating healthy. I was breastfed as a kid. And when I was a kid, there was no McDonald's, there was none of that stuff. It wasn't readily available to us the way it is now. But with that said, even those places have sensible choices. We have work schedules, we have kids, and we have events that we have to go through. So, there are sensible choices that sometimes we just have to say, man, I'm not going to cook tonight. I can't. Been through it, done it too. Then it goes back to accountability. Man, I didn't have to have two meats, or I didn't have to have the sundae that went along with it. So again, let me remind you, this is just basic stuff that's worked for me that I'm sharing with you. I would tell anybody this. So take it easy, okay? So sensible choices, we all know what that means, okay? The other part of the sensible choices in diet is we kind of put this pressure on ourselves that we're going to be missing out on something. We're going to miss out. And because I love food. I've been asked in different restaurants or even the doctors, do you have any allergies to foods? And I'm like, no, I wish I did. I can eat anything. The only thing I won't eat is organs. I don't eat organs. But moving on. What's your goal? What is your goal? Because the foods you eat are going to help you with your goal. If I want to gain weight, which is easy, I know how to do it. Losing weight is learning how to control how we eat, when we eat, and stuff like that. Sorry, I had a mind block here. I was thinking of some other stuff. Started thinking about food. That's what happened. But goals. What is your goal? Because depending on your goal is going to depend on the habits, the eating habits you create. Okay? Now, very important, the last one. Ask for help. There are plenty of people on this page and that can help you. There's plenty, you can look it up, Google it. And I'll tell you what worked for me. I've done, I think, 3 different meal plans to lose weight, and I've lost the weight. But at the end of it, I kind of gained it all back. So I had to go back to accountability. What could I have done? What did I do? Was it lack of discipline? Was it lack of focus? What it was I got, for me, again, what for me was I got used to eating a certain way. Once I reached my goal, I didn't know what to do. So I failed myself by not having another goal ready for me and set up. So that's the accountability part. That's why it's number one on the list here for me. So these are just basic tips, okay? So what I've done, these 3 meal plans, I learned some really cool stuff. It was like taking 3 classes on what to eat, how to eat, when to eat, and how it affected my body, which was very important. I learned a lot about that. So it was like taking like 3 classes on how it affects me. The macros and the counting the proteins and the carbs, all of that was already done, and I'm actually working on that now to understand the science behind it, because I want to know the science behind dieting. But as a very beginner, it's intimidating. It's like, man, I feel like shit. I'm fat. I don't feel good. Everything. Where do I start? Where do I go? Well, you're not the only one. I'm not the only one. There's a whole group of us that get intimidated when we hear the word diet. So I just want to share with you some of these things that I've learned. I learned how to eat, when to eat, and what to eat. And I was introduced to some pretty good foods. And not only that, my digestion changed, my whole body changed, because everything starts with your stomach. If your stomach feels like shit, you're going to feel like shit. Bloating. Some of the foods that cause me bloating. Bloating makes you feel fat, uncomfortable. I don't want to be that way. But every once in a while, I mess up rule number 2. So with that said, this is just what's helped me along the way, and I'm still learning. But the hardest part, I think, of all of this was number 4, asking for help. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Reach out. Ask your questions. Find someone that does meal plans or something local. Go to the local, I don't know, Nutri-shops or Max Muscles or whatever. They'll have something for you, even online. And that was the other thing too that really confused me, going online, looking at all these different people. This diet's going to work. You don't have to eat this. You can eat this. You don't have to eat that. And, some guy was holding a tomato saying, don't eat tomatoes. I'm going to eat tomatoes. It's my culture. So again, cultures, again, that brings me to another point. Cultures, we celebrate everything with food. Weddings, funerals. I didn't try to mix those two that close together. It was just an accident. But birthdays, any celebrations. So it's a tough world out there when it comes to staying fit. I've already made up my mind that I don't have to see my abs to be fit. But that's okay. I know they're there because they get sore every once in a while. But if I want to see my abs, I have the ability to. Accountability, sensible choices, goal, and asking for help. So anyway, those are my tips on dieting. Don't let that word diet scare you. It's not that bad, because it's only going to take 7 days. Actually, the first day or 2 is the hardest, but how bad do you want it? So the science is there. I just don't understand it yet, but I'm getting there. That's why I say reach out, because the science does work. Figure out your body. Have a coach, someone to help you out. So anyway, I hope this helps out, and you guys have a great Sunday. Talk to you later.